let's talk about anxiety. What's up, what's up, what's up? Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Jordan. Welcome. So, I want to talk to you about a story. One of my favorite stories, actually. And it is from a book that is written psychologically, not historically, and that is the Bible, right? Which means this person did not exist, and it would be a waste of our energy to try to find out if this person exists or not, because even if this person ever existed, the point that was written by the mystical authors was that we were meant to read this as a psychological metaphor about our own experiences. So let's talk about Joshua, okay? And he's one of my favorite characters because in the story, he is a seasoned army captain. Like, this guy has seen stuff that most of us probably haven't, right? Like, probably decapitated bodies. Maybe even lost some of his own family members, some cousins along the way. Whatever it is, this guy should not be experiencing anxiety. But there's 5 different stories or chapters dedicated to God, who is your imagination, comforting this seasoned army captain. And he says the same thing over and over and over. Now that's very key, because in Hebrew poetic writing, it's basically stated more than 2 or 3 times that this is a big deal. Like, more than anything that is going on around the story, more than the details, the beauty of the story, whatever's being told, this is it. This is the point, right? What it's really saying is, hey, listen up. That's the key, okay? So when he says, don't be afraid, right? Be strong and courageous, for the Lord, my God, is with you, or for the Lord is with you, okay? Depending on which version. So there's a breakdown there that's very, very key here, okay? So one of them is to understand the word courage, and this is a great word. So in Hebrew, the word courage is also the same word for hero. That's very powerful, okay? Because in that moment where Joshua's freaking out, God is saying, you're going to be the one to save yourself. You're the hero of your own story. Now, remember, he says, be courageous. Now, we kind of gloss over these words, especially in English. But be means take on the nature of, right? Take on the nature of the hero. And so this is extremely powerful stuff here, everybody, right? Because it's giving you the key to overcome anxiety. One, it's saying, no one's here except you. Right? And that's actually empowering. That doesn't mean that you don't go seek out friends. You don't try to offload some of this anxiety and get support. But you don't keep repeating the story to then take on the role of the victim. You always want to take on the role of the hero. That's literally what this word means. And what's very interesting is the Hebrew word, chazak, also combines be strong and courageous as the same word. Right? They're actually derived from the same idea. And the strength is very interesting, because we hear strength and we automatically think physical, outside, exterior. And that's part of it. But the rest of it is moral, spiritual, mental, emotional. It's saying, I'm pulling from all of these resources and I'm finding my strength. And yes, some of these are actually insinuated by, hey, sometimes I might need to go offload to a friend, right? Because that's letting go of the power of that anxiety. So there's nothing wrong with that. If you're part of the manifestation community and everybody's like, don't keep telling the old story, that doesn't mean that you don't try to get rid of these limiting beliefs. That doesn't mean that you don't try to go to therapy, or you don't try to go and find a friend who will listen, or you don't go try to, shout into a pillow. Whatever it is that you can do safely and healthfully, right? Then do that, okay? And that's okay, because what he's saying to Joshua is, hey, and this is the next part's pretty awesome as well. But listen, your strength is going to be derived from everything that you have access to. Use it, right? Do you have anxiety, but you also have hope, right? So, you have fear, but you also have love. And so we tend to forget that. Okay, so when we're in the midst of whatever it is, we're constantly kind of only filtering out what is possible and what is impossible through what we're feeling in the moment. Okay, what you're interpreting in your world seems to be the only way that you think is available to interpret the world. And so when this verse is saying be strong, it's saying you need to pull all your resources. And that's what it means by pulling all your resources. It's saying, how can I see this differently? But not just perception, right? Because this is partially about perception, but there is this mystical element of creation that happens. That when we get really good at articulating and controlling and guiding and shepherding our thoughts and emotions, that things start to happen in a very different way. And so here's this seasoned army captain who's freaking out more than once. That should be relatable to a lot of people here, right? What do I do? How do I pay the bills? What do? I feel lonely. I'm trying to manifest this person either back into my life or a new person, right? You be that. You be the hero. That's the answer. That's what it means to be courageous. Yes, it also means to overcome your fears. That is the surface level definition. But when you take it down to the root understanding in the Hebrew, it's where we get the idea of being a hero, right? And then it says, for I am with you. This is very, very key right here. Here's is your answer. What do you do with anxiety? You realize you're not alone. And so the story of Job, according to some rabbis, wasn't about Job being judged, right? So a lot of Christians will read that story, and at the very end, it's where were you when I was? Where were you when I was? Well, in Hebrew writing, and Hebrew scholars argue this to be the case, is it's not condemning Job, right? It is saying actually the opposite. I was with you when. I was with you when. I was with you when. So go back and read the last 2 or 3 chapters, and when God seemingly is condemning him, he's not. He's saying, I've been here all along. And why is that important when you're manifesting and you're dealing with anxiety is that you're not alone. That's really what this God character, right, is saying, which is really the imagination. I've been here all along. Like presence is power. And so this presence never leaves you. It never forsakes you. It never turns its back, right? It's your bestie. It's your bae. Whatever you want to call it, that's what it is. It's the ultimate friend that will never leave no matter what, right? And that's so key when you're up against the wall and when you feel like you can't overcome your anxiety, right? Remember Joshua, because Joshua was this seasoned guy who was on battlefields in and out most of his life, right? And he's still dealing with anxiety. So it's not wrong to deal with anxiety. Don't make it wrong and then create a moral code, make it even basically give yourself more anxiety on top of anxiety. That's where depression comes in. That's when you feel powerless. That's when you will take on victim mentality rather than hero mentality. But if you realize, right, if you realize and accept the fact that you're never alone and that imagination is always with you and imagination has always got your back, then trust me, you can manifest anything all the time.